Ever wonder how much of a story can be packed into just a few lines of ancient poetry? Well, we're about to find out. We're going to dive into this incredible 9th century Korean poem, and it all starts with a chance meeting on a dark night over 1,000 years ago. It's a story about empathy, lost, and it's been waiting for us, hidden in these ancient words.
So, check this out. This is a note from the poet himself, basically setting the stage for us. Picture this. It's late at night, down at a port. Someone's about to head out on a long journey. And then you hear it, this incredibly sad music. This is where our two characters meet, a famous poet and a musician who is just completely heartbroken. And that single moment, that's what kicks off this whole poem.
All right, let's set our time machine for the 9th century, right in the middle of Korea's Silla dynasty. Our poet, his name is Choe Chiwon, and he's not just any poet. He's a super brilliant scholar, a big deal in the government. The setting, a port called Dangseong, basically the main hub if you are heading to China. And it's right here that he runs into this musician. We don't even know his name, but we know he used to play for the king. Now, he's in exile, just consumed by grief.
Okay, so to really get the full punch of this poem, we have to talk about how it was built. It was written using hanja, which are these classical characters that are, the foundation of a lot of the Korean language. And this is the cool part. We're not just going to translate the words. We're going to look at each character like a little piece of a puzzle. Each one holds a concept, an emotion, and we'll see exactly how the poet chose each one to build this masterpiece. So here we go. The first two lines. These right here are basically the philosophical core of the whole thing. It's where he lays out his big idea about life. Let's do this, let's go character by character and really see how he puts this argument together.
All right, let's crack this code. Here's how hanja works in Korean. Every single character has two parts you gotta know. Its sound, which is called the im, and its meaning, the tit. So take this first one, rin. The sound, or im, is in, and the meaning, tit, is person. Simple enough, right? The next one, sa, has the sound sa and means affair. So you put in and sa together, you get insa, which means human affairs. See how that works? Then we get song, meaning to flourish, hwan, meaning in turn, and sol, which means to decline.
So let's string those pieces together. We have in sa se hwan so, and the translation is human affairs flourish and in turn decline. Now think about that. He doesn't start with the musician's sad story. No, he starts with this huge universal truth. It's this idea that everything that goes up must come down. That glory doesn't last forever. Wow. That's a heavy way to open a poem, right? Okay, line 2. We're going to use the exact same method. First up, we have bu, which means to float, then seng, which means life. Put them together, bu-seng, and you get this gorgeous poetic idea of a fleeting life, like it's just floating by. Then we have sil for truly, ga for worthy of, and finally bi for sorrow. And just like that, with only 10 characters, the poet has built his entire foundation. Bu-seng silga. This fleeting life is truly worthy of sorrow. So he's made his point. Life is short, fame is temporary, and there's a sadness to it all. Now that he's set that big philosophical mood, he can finally zoom in on our musician.
So he's painted this big picture about life and loss, right? Now let's see how he connects that huge idea to one person's very specific, very heartbreaking story.
These next couple lines, it's like he's asking us a question we can't really answer. This is where he pivots from that big, abstract idea of a fleeting life and puts the spotlight right on the musician, showing us this gut-wrenching contrast between his past and his present. And this is where the tragedy really hits you. That phrase, chansangok, it translates to celestial tunes. But it's not just talking about pretty music. It's a metaphor, It represents the whole world of the royal court, the culture, the power, the privilege. So to imagine hearing those same celestial tunes being played on a lonely, empty beach, the whiplash is intense. It's like going from the palace to the absolute middle of nowhere. Okay, now the poet takes it another level deeper. He's about to show us exactly why this is so painful, by painting a picture of these beautiful memories that are now just gone. Just look at the imagery in these lines. This isn't abstract stuff anymore. These are memories you can almost see and feel. He's talking about specific moments of beauty, of status, all spent with the king. You can almost feel how peaceful, how perfect those times must have been. And this is it. This is the heart of the musician's pain, laid out right here. The past? A water palace, watching flowers, sitting with the king under the moon. The present? A cold, empty beach. I mean, the contrast is just brutal, and it leaves us with one big question. What on earth could have happened to cause a fall like that? Well, this next line is the answer. It's the turning point for the entire poem. This is where he tells us why the glory is gone, why the palace music is now being played by the sea. It all hinges on this one event, and he describes it with this incredibly specific, really poetic phrase.
So the phrase is banyum. Literally, it means to grasp the beard. Now, this is one of those phrases that's packed with history. It's an allusion to an old legend about the Yellow Emperor. The story goes that when he was ascending to heaven on a dragon, all his followers desperately tried to go with him by grabbing onto the dragon's beard, that they couldn't hold on and were left behind. So that image became this powerful poetic code for the death of a king. With just those few characters, the poet tells us everything we need to know. The king is dead, and for this musician, his entire world is over.
And that brings us to the end. So far, Choe Chiwon has been telling us about the musician's pain, about his tragic fall. But in this very last line, he does something really incredible. He stops being just an observer, and he steps right into the brief with him.
Here it is, the final line. Yo, irasangsu. After this whole journey, this whole story about someone else's loss, it all comes down to this one simple, direct, and just unbelievably powerful statement. He's not just saying, oh, I feel bad for you. No, he's weeping with him. With you, my tears fall in pairs. It's this incredible moment of pure empathy. And a lot of scholars think that Choe Chiwon, who was a total genius but often felt overlooked and that his talents were being wasted, saw himself in this musician. He saw a kindred spirit. So the poem isn't just about the musician's loss anymore. It's about a shared human pain, the pain of unfulfilled dreams and knowing the best days are behind you. And that's really what we're left with, isn't it? If Choe Chiwon hadn't written this poem, that musician, his music, his story, it all would have just disappeared into the ocean that night, forgotten forever. It really makes you think, you know? Art does more than just record a moment in time. It creates a bridge across centuries. It lets one person's private grief become something we can all share, making sure that even a fleeting life, as the poem says, is never truly lost.